Good morning from the northeast coast of Trinidad. I'm here today to meet Chris Dennis, an incredible surfer and founder of the Waves for Hope Foundation. They teach kids how to surf, how to skateboard, they teach them freediving, they teach them all kinds of life skills. And I've been following him for years, so it's an absolute honor to meet the man and see what he's up to. Right behind me here is a surf break, and there's a bunch of kids right now that are out there learning. It's a pretty small, mellow day, but we're gonna catch up with Chris, hear about how this foundation started, and hopefully get a little surf in as well, because it's been pretty flat at home lately, so any kind of waves I am very, very much excited for. This is Waves for Hope, Trinidad. So we're just down by Balandra Beach, just a little bit past. I don't know what the surf break is called, but it's just a super tranquil spot, coconut trees, up kind of on a high cliff with a big stairwell that goes down to the beach. Chris is currently teaching a freediving class, so we're gonna catch up with him, momentarily, but oh yeah! I can see the break down there. Looks like little waves, but very fun. And you can't complain about no big crowd. It just looks like a vibe of young guys enjoying the surf. So watch your step on this stairwell here. It's pretty intense. We'll go down to the beach and see how big it looks. But you can definitely see swell lines out in the water. There's surf coming in for sure. Yeah. Oh, there's a line right there. Somebody get it. That's a wave. Let's go. Oh, on the inside, I can't quite see. All right, there are party waves happening. So I gotta be careful here. Watch my step. There's some downed trees. It's pretty steep anyway. Whoa. Looks like everyone's leaving their sandals up here, or your flip-flops, or your thongs, or your jandals, wherever you're from, whatever you call them. Oh, what a beautiful spot. Looks like a kind of a, is that a reef out there? Okay. High tide, wow. So yeah, this is it. Waves for Hope. I mean, look at the spot you get to hang out and learn in. Just so beautiful. Supernatural. It's funny sometimes, the waves look bigger from above, but there's definitely still waves, so you can't complain at all. But that water's actually, that's pretty warm. Some nice water. Okay. And it looks like people are leaving their gear pretty high up, so in case a big swell comes, or in case the tide is still on the way up, I don't know. I should have probably checked my surf watch here. How's the lessons going today?
Good. Everybody enjoying themselves. We have good condition. The waves good for them.
A good size? And how long have these guys been surfing for?
Well, this is the club. Some of them surfing like for 2 years, 3 years. It has some start surfing last year.
Yeah.
With us. So the newest person we are here is a year, I could say. That is the boy in the big blue board already.
Okay.
Easy. The newcomer.
Well, it's awesome to see everyone having a blast, like perfect learning day, not too heavy, just nice and chill. Is it sand bottom out there, or is it a reef?
Reef.
It is reef, okay.
Reef.
So kids gotta learn quick. No messing around.
No messing around.
Yeah.
I can learn to wipe out good too.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a good place to learn.
Because we're surfing like 5 feet of water for the most.
Yeah. So don't get in the bad habit of jumping down, touching the reef. That's a good way to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
How'd yours go?
Well, it was alright, had long lines. The waves was nice and manageable. You know? Yeah, it was
It
good.
looked pretty clean out there. Like,
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
I really did.
yeah, the wind's hitting it in the right way, not too crazy, but nice little casual session.
Yeah,
Dave.
nice one. So.
It's a warm up to rough side.
Exactly.
It's a warm up.
So rough side's the other wave. You said is a beachy, can
Yeah.
get barrels.
It's more rough than this. It's more powerful. Less forgiving.
Well, look at that set coming.
Yeah, the sets are coming in. Go, go, party wave! Hey! Almost. How was your session?
It was good. It was very small.
Very small, yeah. And a small board for it too.
More simple right.
Yeah. So Waves for Hope, you can do surfing, you can do free diving. What else do they teach?
Not today, but we have other programs, skating.
Skateboarding?
Yeah, skateboarding.
All right, I got my board in the trunk.
But we're not doing that.
Nothing set up today, right? In
No.
the rainy season.
Yeah.
All right, we're here with Chris Dennis, Waves for Hope, at one of your home breaks.
Yes.
Tell me about this place right here. Why is it special for you?
Well, welcome to Roughside. This place is extremely special in many, many ways. Firstly, it's in Balandra, and you tend to be able to surf here a lot of the times by yourself in like fun little waves with no one around. Now, for a lot of people, I imagine that doesn't sound too good because some people like surfing with other people, you know. For like me, I enjoy surfing with one or two friends and that's it, or one person. It's just because I've spent so many years competing and being a part of all big events and having to show up and blow up, and now it's just like surfing is more about peace and quiet and calm for me. You know, a lot of the times I don't even care how I surf. It's more about being out there. Yeah, the ocean brings that stillness, you know. Look at this. I mean, people paying thousands of dollars to have access to this.
Yeah, man.
You
And
know?
there's barely anyone here. That's
Yeah,
it. We're
look
the
at the
only two.
beach. Look
Yeah.
at this. So yeah, Trinidad is so much more than what you hear: crime and state of emergency and corruption. Trinidad is so much more, you know. This is a perfect example.
And what was your entry into the surfing world? How did you get started as a youth?
That's a real long story. I'll try to make it brief. Basically, where you saw me today, I grew up like 2 minutes away. So see that pole, that tall pole next to the yellow house
Yeah,
up on the mountain there?
yeah.
I grew up in a small house right at the side of that. And obviously I get to grow up with the ocean as my backyard. Look at that wave. Look at this little left coming in.
Look at this coming. This is a bad camera for it, but clean. This is flat, literally
Yeah.
everywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up next to the ocean, and we always knew the ocean as be able to access food. So fish and, you know, mackerel off the rocks and different things like that. So that's how I grew up. I grew up super humble, super humble. I always like to say I got an education that no university could ever teach me. And that was the education of learning to live off the land and the ocean. But in my later years, because I grew up around, you know, people of means with all their fancy beach houses up this side and stuff, they would come to the back of the house and surf.
Yeah.
So when I was 12 years old, I came home one day from school, and it's on our house was like on a little boom like this, and I get to watch down and I see people literally standing on their board. I didn't know what it was. I'm like, how are they doing that, and why are they out there without a spare gun? You know, I always tell this story because for me that was super fascinating. I never knew that you could have ridden waves. You know, whenever I saw waves, it was more around trying to make sure I don't get licked off a rock, because sometimes you're fishing on a rock and a set will come and the surge or the wave will crash on that rock and take you out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then a couple of years later, my cousin and they got a old broken board from one of the same beach house owners, and they started trying, and I looked at them for almost a year, and then because I looked at them so long, one day when I decided to try, on my third wave I just stood up for a couple of seconds, straight like a needle on the board. But the feeling that brought, it was like, up until that point, it was unlike anything else I've ever felt, you know. I used to be a cricket player because in this part of the world, cricket was like one of the biggest sports. So I used to be a cricket player, and actually I used to be quite good. And I remember when the cricket scouts came to my school to look at me, I didn't want to play cricket, I wanted to surf. Financially, maybe if I played cricket, that would have been that would have been a cool, probably a better decision. But nah, we and then I just stayed in the back of the house and started surfing.
How are you getting gear back then?
We had a 6'4" Channel Island Almeric that was broken and put back together. And I started learning to surf on that, and when that got smashed, my cousin would get to interact with people from Port of Spain. Those were mostly the surfers, the guys from Port of Spain. So they would come to these parts to surf and leave whatever old gear, or yeah, so I would steal a board, and when I couldn't get a board, I made one out of wood. A lot of us share this. This is a global story, man. If you go to places like Indonesia and stuff, you'll hear this 10 times over. You know, people making board. I remember in my father's garden, he used to do gardening. That's how we grew up. At the side of the river bank, up the river. Mind you, next to my house was a river, and we used to go up the river to make garden. We didn't own any lands and stuff, but planting pimento, sweet pepper, tomatoes, pawpaw, bananas, pumpkin, like stuff that you could eat to live. And one day we went to the garden and a tree broke, and the way it broke, it split, and there was this piece of like tree bark that looked like a board, and I remember taking my father cutlass and cutting it out. Full out of a Mad Max movie, you know.
Yeah.
And take it back to the yard and put a brick on one side down by the tail of this wood, and 2 bricks to the front to make the rocker, and leave it out in the sun. So when the sun and the heat hits that wood with the weight, it'll bend, and that's how it'll make the nose rocker. Yeah, fun times.
Now it's a little more high tech with the carbon now.
Yeah, fast forward to, I think it was 1995, I won my first junior national championships here in Trinidad. In 1995 or 1996, but it was so funny because I didn't know I was getting any good at surfing, and surfing was never a priority, and even to this day, surfing isn't necessarily a priority, or youths don't view it as a pathway out of poverty or anything like that. It's just simply because they're not exposed enough. But once you fall in love with something, you would want to know everything about that something, you know, and that's what I did. I would scour through encyclopedias, remember those things? Thick encyclopedias like this, scouring through, finding every morsel of information I could about the sport, from Duke Kahanamoko, going to Australia, to, I mean, every little detail about the sport. And yeah, somehow I found myself in an event, never doing a competition, but I always dreamt of having my own surfboard, because up until that point, all I was riding was either a piece of wood that I made or borrowing somebody board. Yeah, so I showed up at this event, I think it was 1996, without a board. But I knew I wanted to compete, and I had money in my pocket from cutting lawn. My school money I took to enter the contest. And I heard my name on the loudspeaker. You you are in blue or yellow or something, report to the judge's tent. So I am like scrambling around on the beach asking people to lend me, if there's a jersey that they have that's the color orange or blue or whatever it was, you know. Hey, do you have a orange t-shirt to lend me? They tell me I have to use an orange t-shirt. I was so inexperienced, you know. But I knew I loved surfing, and up until that point, it was up at Doco. I never saw waves like that in my life. And I got a board borrowed. I would never forget it. It was a 6'4" CB Super. And I paddled out in my first heat, and somehow I advanced. And this event was a Saturday and Sunday. And every heat I had to scramble and ask somebody to lend them their board. And in the end, nobody knew about me. I didn't even know what I was doing. All I knew, I never saw waves like that, and I just was going to go out there. I had 15 minutes to catch waves and do what I could do. That's all I knew. No strategy, nothing. Riding boards I never rode before. But man, at the end of it, I won Junior National Championships in 1996. And along with that came the prize of a brand new surfboard by Alan Davis. Special moment for me, but not so special for my parents, because when I go back home, I go straight back into the garden. But something in me clicked, you know. A lot of times people live day to day. Day to day. People don't have the luxury of thinking about the future in these parts. So I grew up like that. Day to day. What are you going to do tomorrow? You know? Try to get food. That's how I grew up. But what that afforded me is I got the time to spend in the ocean. My dad taught me a lot. My dad never surfed, but he taught me a lot about the ocean. Fishing, diving, how things work, currents, tides. Yeah. Yeah, man. And I just kept dreaming and dreaming and dreaming, and like I said, it is a long story, and I started winning until I won pretty much everything there was to win in Trinidad, and then my skills had to get tested internationally.
Yeah.
My first trip outside of Trinidad was Barbados. And I remember cutting a bunch of grass and just hustling money to go to Barbados, because they used to have a lot of international events here in Trinidad. And this was like 90s now, like late 90s, 1998, 1999. Yeah. When you could have gotten a ticket to go to Barbados for around $400 or $500 TT, which was still a lot of money back then. But yeah, got invited, ended up going there. And the most classic story, the local guy that connected me, they were only like a week or 2 weeks before at the event here in Trinidad. And he was like, man, you should come to Barbados. We have this Super Bowl Pro, or whatever it was called. You should come. The day before I went, because getting the tickets and stuff, you had to go to a travel agent, you know. The nearest travel agent to me is in San Grande, next town over an hour away, half an hour away. So much stories, man, but surfing has given me an education that, like I said, no university could have ever given me. And look, man, how many people have this for their backyards? Sometimes it's not perfect, and I'm not talking about waves. Sometimes life isn't perfect. Sometimes we all have our things that we deal with, stresses and stuff. But I figure what's important is staying grounded in humility and gratitude, because just when you think you have it bad, you don't have nothing bad. And those kids you see, I used to be one of those kids. So I am super passionate. I shouldn't even use the word passionate. This is a way of life, not just giving back, because I knew and I know what surfing did for me. But it's more about, some people are not become going to become pro is a 1%, if you ask me, in my opinion, of us that go on to become a professional and have a career in
Yeah,
surfing.
even less, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like maybe even 0.1.
So I knew I was a bit of an anomaly, and I went down that road and won and lost and had all of those experiences, but my heart was always back in Trinidad, thinking about my communities. What can I do for my communities? What can I do so that people could probably feel what I felt or see what I see? And while it's not really about me, it has turned into something else. It's more about, like with Waves for Hope, for example, we get to fuse the sports that I love: freediving, spearfishing, skateboarding, and we get to fuse a mental health curriculum with it. How cool is that? And literally have access to where you can help somebody else through that. And even deeper than that, sure, we have our failures, but we also have our successes as well. I think it's important for the young adults in our country, in my communities. It's going to be important. As you know, the story goes, they are our future. And I think we have a mental health pandemic in the world. And I think, look, I have a lot of thinking, right? A lot of opinions, all right? And it's not to come across opinionated, because who am I? You know, I'm just some guy from Balandra. However, if you really take a look at Trinidad and Tobago itself, we are in a desperate state. We have all-time highs crime. The people who are committing crime ranges from the ages of 16 to 30 to 25. And you have to be an absolute fool if you don't think that none of this is connected to their mental health. You think you think people are mentally, you think they're just born like that? No, their environment would have had to be sick for them to be sick. It's going to be real important, the type of decisions our young people make for the future of our country. So all of this is bigger than I am or anything I do. Look at that set.
Look, there was one at the back. Tell me about Waves for Hope exactly, because it's a lot more in depth than I first thought. When I first saw it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's doing surfing program. He's teaching how to spearfish. You know, useful skills, but it's so much more than that.
So, Waves for Hope, we offer a program centered around mental health. We use scientific research. We have a curriculum that I got because I ended up getting a scholarship through Waves for Change to go to South Africa, Cape Town, to study. And at the end of it, they provided us, who wanted to pursue having an organization and going back to their various homes, and so we got a lot of tools. You see today, for example, you see us using an attendance app and all of those kind of things. We get to track certain things with that app, for example. That's one of the tools we get to use. We do pre and post data collection. And we match it up against our curriculum. We have particular pillars in the curriculum.
Yeah.
And through the sports, we get to teach kindness, empathy, emotional well-being, making critical decision, how to clear your mind, how to deal with tough and challenging relationships, how to navigate stress. A lot of things that us adults struggle with, we get to do it with youths, with kids and young adults. Can you imagine that maybe the intervention through these programs, when a kid grew up learning these skills, that could literally be a guide and a pathway through better decision making and having a level of success in their lives, you know? So that's what we get to do. And that's like a real shortcut version. It's literally more in depth than that. But today, like you saw, I was, you know, pointing out a couple things for you. You know, I was showing you why we're doing this exercise, what it teaches. Yeah. Mind you, none of us get any there's no financial benefit in this. This is what I do at the side of the millions of other things I do for a career, for work and stuff. But we have a small organization. We're quite proud. It's a team of 5 of us. We're quite proud of what we have been able to accomplish. We've impacted close to 200 participants. Our organization have been growing so much so that we have to grow strategically, and we also have to grow at a pace that we can sustain. So we have a season for freediving, and the freediving program, for example, you get an international accreditation. While it's not about the international accreditation, one of the mandates is to provide opportunities for young adults. So now they have something to put on their CV. So for the one who are pursuing Coast Guard or military or lifeguard or anything that's applicable, they now have an accreditation that, hey, I'm certified in this. The surfing is a little bit different and unique. We do a lot of work around meditation, and a lot of the times if you analyze surfing, it's like life. You know that cliche saying, the waves are going to keep coming. Instead of trying to fight the wave, you should learn to ride the waves. And it's so applicable in surfing, literally, because they get to learn resilience. They get a lot of self-belief in themselves. A lot of taboo is still surrounded around the ocean in these parts. A lot of people, for example, can't swim. Would you believe that? We're on a damn island, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, some people don't have access to the ocean, but on the coast, from here to Matla, there are people that can't swim.
Yeah. It's like not a place to play. It's for work, right? That's kind of part of it.
With that said, I think it's going to be really important that people also learn about what we have, what the beauty we're surrounded by, and how beneficial it could be not only for our mental health, but you could literally build a career out of it. In this climate and the way our economy is in Trinidad and Tobago, you have to be very creative to earn a living. Otherwise, it's easy to go down those dark paths.
Now, how are you noticing the youth taking to surfing? Because like you said, it's not so easily accessible. They might not swim. You know, maybe even parents have an expectation if kids are going to take a sport, it's going to be something like football or cricket. Is that a hurdle at all?
Used to be. Now it's like, all right, you want to surf? Check Waves for Hope. Check Chris.
Yeah.
You want to skateboard? We make it accessible. We make it accessible. We are very blessed. Over my years of traveling and competing, I've made some really, really beautiful friendships. And so I do have some international support as far as equipment and all of that is concerned. So that used to be a thing. Oh, we don't have the equipment. Now it's not that. And mind you, we don't ever push competitive surfing. I don't push competitive surfing simply because, yes, if a youth or young adult want to compete, they have that support. But you're teaching people the joys of finding themselves and finding out about the ocean, besides all the mental health stuff, you know. Then you add competition to that, it's like So we don't really push competition surfing. However, we do have a club, and 2 weeks ago we had our club event. So there's a little time to play with that kind of thing. And in November we have another event again.
It was awesome to see them today because it was kind of the old school way, like you'd see in Malibu back in the 60s. Everyone on the same wave, party wave, having a blast, just loving it, not so serious, just everyone out there to get waves and have fun. It wasn't...
And did you see them meditating?
I did see them meditating this morning, like before.
Yeah. So that's a club session. They would come, they would meditate, they would have a group discussion, or one of the mentors, if they have something that they want to share, they will share it with one of the mentors. It's a space, like you hear this term all the time, safe space, safe space, safe space. That's what it literally is. A space where they can get to come, because they don't necessarily have that at home.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have that quiet. A place where they could talk about how they feel. Not even grown adults and grown men and women have that space. Sometimes you have to pay for those spaces.
Yeah. And a lot of money too.
Yeah. So they get to do that. Then they get to enjoy and detach from all the craziness that's around them, because I promise you, ooh, look at that right there. Look at that little right there.
Running. We always got to stop and check the waves if it's looking good. Set coming. Whoa! Yeah. But you were saying some of these kids grow up really rough and tough situations.
Look, everywhere has heartbreaking stories, and these communities, it's the same. Besides that, we give support, not just in the program, but outside of the program. For example, I go to PTA meetings. Wednesday I have a PTA meeting. I get to go and talk about Waves for Hope. I get to interact in the high schools and find out what's going on. Sometimes I get called for mediation and that sort of stuff. It's a holistic thing, man. It's a holistic thing. Yeah, we give a lot of support in many ways, from financial to otherwise. Making sure our communities, or the young people, or the young adults, or even sometimes the parents, they could be in a place where they could provide some hope for their children.
Now, what's the future look like for Waves for Hope? What's up next?
Well, the immediate future, next week I'm in one of the high schools. We chances are very high that we would be able to access young adults through the school. We have skate program coming up. We have freediving certification coming up. We have our club event number 2 coming up for surfing. That's the immediate future. In the distant future, not so distant, in a month, we will be doing a couple introduction programs to the really far off communities like Matlot. And we also have our workshop, our coding workshop coming up.
Sorry, coding workshop?
Yes, we do
Cool.
computer coding workshop.
Nice.
And that's a great one, because a lot of the times you're kind of far away from things out when you're out here. How crazy it is that we're all connected by a phone or the internet. You're far out here, but you're connected, you're so close in other ways. A lot of kids are super smart. They might not be A+ students at mathematics, but put them on the internet and it'll be something else, you know. So we've felt the collaboration. We have a collaboration with a company, one of Trinidad kind of first cash app called WAM. We have actually a collaboration with them, and we do coding, because these guys who do these that WAM cash app and stuff, they're involved in a lot of different things. And I'm like, I knew the owner, and I'm like, why? I went to his office one day and I saw a bunch of young people from the city and environs coding, literally building stuff, and I'm like, why we can't have this in our community just because we're that far out? So we struck up a deal immediately.
Nice.
So now we get access to even provide more opportunities. So yes, we have that coming up in a month actually. And how we do it is we cover a couple of communities and then we move to a couple of communities. So we're going to be moving up to Matlot pretty soon, which is the end of the road on the north coast.
That's cool.
And we get to go there and do coding workshops and surfing workshops along with mental health work. A lot is in the works.
I love to hear it.
I'm sure the other question is where do you access finances to do all of this? Man, I'll take in front before in front take me. That's what we say in Trinidad.
Yeah.
I'll take in front before in front takes me. Sometimes I don't even know how we do it. Like I tell you, I've created a lot of special relationships over the years. And it's just friends that help out. And that's it.
Wow.
Our friends who work in companies and that sort of thing. We've had some generous support over the years, and we hope that we continue to have some support as we go on. We are, at the end of the day, we're a serious organization. This is not just all talk. This is real work and real genuine, honest work, and not my wife or myself. None of us get an ounce of financial. We're not financially involved in this as far as like we get paid or anything. Nothing like that. And that's a fine line, especially in Trinidad and Tobago, because, for example, the government treats us like if we're a company. We have to pay taxes and all sorts of things. And
There's not a charity thing where you get exempt from that?
We have been waiting for this paper that says we're a charitable status for years. We have met every requirement under the sun. Even have a lawyer. I even have an accountant. I think what has happened is over the years they've had people who are dishonest and stuff in this field.
Yeah.
And they have somehow created a bad reputation. You have to be a person of integrity and to have these kind of organizations, because this is an organization that requires a lot of genuine passion and discipline to want to make a difference. And it's nothing about that is even about ego or narcissism. It's more about you see what's going on around. Why wouldn't you want to help another human, you know?
Well, if other people want to help you, and not you specifically, but help Waves for Hope, what's the best way to help your organization?
You could find us online. You could just Google Waves for Hope Trinidad, and there are ways to contribute on there from our website. My phone number is online.
All right.
In these crazy days and times, you could reach out. You could send us an email. There's phone numbers you could contact. We have an Instagram page. We have a website. We're easily reachable. I'm pretty good with my phone if you call.
Okay.
Just like you called.
Yeah.
You reached out with a message and you got a response, and then before you know, we were talking on the phone.
We lined it up.
And just click show more down below. I'm gonna put all the links for Chris and Waves for Hope, so there's easy access. You can just click right there.
Any other final thoughts you have about this journey you've been on, or what you've seen, or Waves for Hope, or people you want to thank, anything at all?
I don't mean to get heavy. We get to see a lot of greatness and we get to see a lot of darkness as well. And sometimes it could permeate us. Sometimes it could seep through our souls. So when we do our thing with Waves for Hope, we really put our hearts into it because we know that it matters. I think, and I will leave with this, a lot of our problems in the world are unsolvable, but some of them are easily solvable if we just be kind and loving to each other.
That's a beautiful way to end it.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, Chris, well, I think we got to get in the water, get a wave before it gets dark. Let's go. All right, thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, we're gonna get a couple waves. I don't know if there's gonna be any footage of it, but we're gonna try. Bless up, thanks for watching.